Hi, welcome back to Animation 1 Stop Motion. I'm going to talk, this is actually the last formal lecture of the year, and this is going to be talking about post-production and end credits. Basically, post-production has to do with just doing color correction and stylizing your video after you get it all shot and edited. And end credits, you're probably familiar with those, just basically the credits at the end of any film or video, and I'm just going to go over those. So, just 2 or 3 frames before we dive right into Premiere. What is post-production? I mean, it's basically color correction, adding effects after editing while in Premiere. So, you might see there's some things that are more technical, like if you look in Premiere, there are these things called lumetri presets. Those are very cinematic. They basically have to do with matching your film to matching your video to a certain color palette, or very similar to the kind of response a certain type of film would have. It's very cinematic. We're not necessarily going to do that today. And then the other one are just really the video effects. Anything from going to black and white to contrast to even doing special effects like posterization, like taking down your color palette, to like 8 colors. It's a lot of different things. So what that can do, and brightness and contrast and hue and saturation, what this can do is that this can vastly improve the project when you have kind of like washed out stuff and stuff that doesn't necessarily represent the white that you want. So we can go through that and look at that. So end titles, just about every video has some sort of end titling, and it gives your title, credits everyone involved with your film, and your rights statement. So it can be done pretty much using fading from one title to another, or a rolling title, and I'll show you that. So just search end credits on YouTube for examples. So we're going to go right into Premiere. And I have a couple of your previous projects placed, and I'm just going to it isn't necessary that I'm saying that you need it or not. I'm just going to say how we can work with these various ones to see how we can make the image more, make it clearer, or make it more interesting. Also with editing. Let's see here, and all of this could be very short. Remember to be doing all this stuff in high definition, so we don't have to do things like scale. As that causes problems in itself, because we're going to lose a lot of resolution on this one. Okay, let's just stay there. Okay, now let's go to our first example. I think this is Moses. And and by the way, some of you send me questions and that sort of thing during the time I'm doing this stuff, and it winds up on the video. So careful. Okay, since Moses is a little off center, I'm going to adjust her X. Oh, wait a second. I've got somebody else's selected here. Okay. I'll select this clip, get it centered, and this is post-production as well. It's getting everything set up. Oh, wait a second. It is centered. It's just the beginning of the animation. Sorry. Okay. Well, looking at things, I'm not looking at video transitions because that has to do with fading and all that. Let's look at After Effects. First of all, let's look at things like color correction. So first thing we could do is that we could put a brightness and contrast on it. And it's just like it's just like Photoshop. And already we can kind of see this is, let's bring this up. Ooh, that's kind of crazy. I'll take it maybe about 25. And I'll make this about -20. Not too bad. Let's take this up to about maybe 40. And then maybe take this up to about -5. That's already pretty striking. So, what we could do is that we could also, some of these I don't know quite so much about. I'll just take a look real quick at equalize. And I mean, this is one thing that I wind up doing a lot. I'll wind up just kind of playing with something and see what, equalize brightness. By the way, I have a lot of, oh, wow, that's really cool. Okay, you know what, I think I'm going to keep that. And then I'm going to just maybe take that down to about 75%. That's really beautiful. So this is kind of the point, that you can make something, what you worked with before, into something totally different, totally cinematic. So, and then the other thing is that let's just take a look at color balance. And I'm not necessarily telling you to do these, but I don't want to do that. Sometimes I just basically go and just take a look at some of the settings that I've played with for a long time. And I wonder what all these, that's kind of interesting. Three-way color corrector. Let's see what that does. Oh, that's kind of cool. And you can just sort of move that around a little bit and see what that does. Let's just, that's kind of cool. All right. Okay. I'm going to just say that I like this for now and just go on. So, here we go. Okay. This is a really cool piece, but the thing is that I think it has, its contrast is really low. So let's just take a look and see what happens with auto contrast. That's interesting. And basically take the, you know what? I don't think I like it. So as I said, I'm trying these different types of corrections. I think I'm going to go back to brightness and contrast and see if I can use this to adjust for her lighting a little bit. As I said, is that it's kind of washed out. And that's kind of a problem. So let's just take the contrast up to 50%. See how that pops things out. See, that really pops this whole thing right out a lot. I might take it up to 60%. See how much more drama this it has in it, you know. Now I might take it down 10%. Okay. Look at that. That's really cool. Since she's doing this a black and white piece, I'm not going to do anything about coloring and keying and things like that. So, okay, here we go back to here. So I'm going to do some interesting things. Is that on one hand, I think this is pretty cool, but what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to do two things. I'm going to turn black and white. Then I'm going to change the contrast on it. I'm going to really kick it up a little bit, kick up the contrast just a bit. Take the brightness up maybe, take the contrast maybe about 30. And take the brightness down about maybe -5. That's a little bit much, but let's see here. Let's just try that -7. See what that does. Sorry, my machine's really lagging because, you know, I'm pushing video and I'm recording it at the same time. So that's kind of interesting. So let's do something strange. Let's do something like a stylizing things, or let's see. How about brush strokes? And this is kind of like a Photoshop folder, which is kind of cool. And I wonder what happens. Paint on black. A lot of this I just like to play around and just see what happens. Brush size, I'm going to make the brush size a lot bigger. Make it 7. Make it 7. Okay. All right, that's kind of interesting. Stroke density 5. And blend with the original, I'm going to say 50%. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm just sort of trying to do, I'll just say 60 then. I'm trying to do kind of like a brush strokey thing. I don't think I'm necessarily being that successful, but you know what? Let's get rid of that. I don't think it works as well as I want. Posterize. That just kind of limits your color palette. Let's just see how that looks. It makes it almost look photocopied, which is kind of interesting. I'll take this down to 4. See what happens. So anyway, actually, one other thing that's interesting to maybe use with stop motion is maybe time. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to time echo this. And I'll just say maybe 3 echoes. And that sort of gets strange. Nah, it didn't quite work like I wanted it to. As I said, most of this is experimentation. So I'm just saying, try to see what you can do in getting some interesting things out of your work. So let's talk about end credits. This is pretty easy. And what I'll do is I'll put this video in the teaching materials just to show you how it comes out with, because it's probably going to take about an hour for it to render. So I usually use a legacy title. Ooh, okay, you know what? Okay. I'm going to hold on just 1 second, because what happened is that somebody is handing in work at 5,000 by 3,000. Remember, you have to hand it in at 1920 by 1080. So I'm sorry I didn't catch that. So that shows me that you're working from your camera. Make sure to resize your work down to high definition, because it won't play right on a TV. So, okay. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this legacy title, and I'm just going to move my time slider off so I can just do something about it. So there's a couple little things here. I'm going to move this over here so that we can see our parameters. And I'll move things over here. So there's all these presets for text. I don't use those. So what this is going to be just your standard type tool. And I'll just open this up here. And I'm going to change this to my favorite, which is actually Atkinson Hyperlegible, which is actually a typeface created by the Braille Institute, for the Braille Institute, for people who don't have who have impaired vision. So I kind of like to talk about making it at least being aware that you might have to sometime make media for the visually impaired, and there are typefaces for this. Atkinson Hyperlegible is distributed by the Braille Foundation, and so I use it a lot. So I'm going to take the scale of the type up a bit to just something like maybe 300. And then there's a super important little icon here, and I was trying to get the tooltip for it, and it basically talks about roll and crawl. So this is talking about still, roll, crawl left, crawl right. So in other words, with crawl it goes to the left or goes to the right, and I'm going to just have this roll like a standard movie. I'm going to have this start off screen, end off screen, and if you don't, it'll just start where it's at. It'll start going, and I'll just since it's going off screen. Since it's starting and ending off screen, I don't need to have it ease in, ease out, or do any of this post-roll stuff. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make the font size about 300 and center it. And I'm going to say, my awesome video. And then I'll take this down to about 240. Oops, Hang on. Bye. Okay. No idea what I know what. I think I hit spacebar. So I'll just take this back out here so I can work on this. I know my machine's lagging because I'm pushing around 5,000 pixel video, which you don't do. Make sure that you're rendering it your right size. So make sure that you have it in at the right size. I'm going to take points. All right. So I'm going to say bye. Say 2020 for AAD376. Video editing. Sorry. And I'm just gonna talk about this guy Kevin MacLeod who does the free music. So I'll just say music. Oops. Hang on. Oh, music. Often you sometimes say what the titles are, but I'm just going to just be short here. Kevin. Should scroll up. I don't know why it is at the moment, but let's just save this off, see what it's like, and you can just see. I can mess around with this too much. Okay, one big thing. I have this title here, and notice it's only for 3 frames, so I have to do Control and speed and duration, and I'm going to make it maybe 20 seconds. Let's bring it in here. This is longer than both of these other things combined. So let's just take a look at how this works. And right. So as I said, this is lagging a lot. And then you'd have the rest of these things in. And then there you go. It's about the right length. It's about the right speed. Keep the speed in mind. So once we're done with all this, make sure and select your sequence and export your media. And then I'm just going to call this AAD376 post and end credits. That should be, and then spring 2020. And that's it. Okay. And that should do it. Okay, guess what? That is. Wait a second. I selected another project. Okay, post-production. Here we go. That's it. Sorry, I selected the wrong sequence. So I'm going to export media. And look at this. Output. Nope. I want this to be 1080p HD. Come on. All right. Maximum render quality. And I'm not going to import into the project. So, and that's it. Render this as AAD376 post and spring 2020. There we go. Okay. Export it. And I think it'd be just interesting to see how long it takes. And "22 minutes. Okay, I'm not going to hang out with you for that long. So this will be this rendered piece will be up in the teaching stuff, just to show you how it came out. And as I said, a lot of these effects, take a little bit of a strain on your computer. And by the way, make sure and don't be using 5,600 pixel video, because it makes things almost impossible to work with, and it's not what you're rendering out to in the first place, and you'll get marks for it. So, okay, that's it. So I think that is about all we need to do. And so for the next while, we're just going to be checking in and looking at work and just getting this stuff done. So anyway, thanks so much for a good semester, and stay safe.